Welcome back.
Yeah, Jonathan Lemire, let me go to you really quickly. As we said, the president is who the president is. A tweet 3 minutes ago from the president of the United States in the middle of a pandemic that is, again, as the White House has acknowledged, may kill 2 million Americans. The president decides to use his time and his platform this morning by tweeting this about Mitt Romney. First of all, Mitt Romney tests negative for coronavirus, Breitbart News reports. The president says, "This is really great news. I am so happy I can barely speak." Sarcasm, of course. He may have been a terrible presidential candidate and an even worse U.S. senator, but he is a rhino, and I like him a lot, with an exclamation point. The president of the United States...
Don't you just ask yourself the question right now about his stability?
Well, of course, Mika, we do every day.
I wonder what about people in the White House right now watching this?
But, you know, the thing is, again, in the middle of this crisis, first of all, Mitt Romney is of the age that this could have been a death sentence for him.
His wife?
His wife has underlying conditions, so if he were positive, it could have been a death sentence for her. And Donald Trump cannot, even in these times, refrain from attacking somebody who is part of the United States Senate. We're all in this together, the president said, and I agreed with him. We're all in this together. And you just, like, what if Mitt Romney had tweeted something like that about the president this time, if he had tested, or anybody else? I mean, the outrage from Donald Trump and his campaign and from websites would have been overwhelming. But he is held to such a lower standard, and by everybody. He does this, again, in the middle of the pandemic, when he should be telling us what he's doing to get more masks, more ventilators, more tests. God, more tests for Americans, so we don't have 2 million people die. As, again, the White House just concerned about that study. That's not me. That's not the media. That's not fake news. That's not the hoax that people were talking about a couple weeks ago. The White House believes that. And yet, Jonathan Lemire, he's mocking Mitt Romney this morning after Mitt Romney finds out that he doesn't have the coronavirus.
You asked what the president's response would be if someone else tweeted that about him or his family. No one else would tweet that about his or his family. Let's flash back a couple days ago. The president was in the White House briefing room when a reporter informed him that Senator Romney was moving into isolation because he had been exposed to Senator Rand Paul, who, of course, now did test positive for the coronavirus. And the president said, "Romney, oh, gee, too bad." And then was asked if he was being sarcastic, and he said he wasn't. I'm sure when he's asked about this tweet, he will say he wasn't sarcastic. He is being sarcastic. And it is, as to your point, it is to your point that is what he is doing right now at 7:40-ish in the morning during the height of this pandemic, when he is claiming that the American public can largely return to their normal lives in 2.5 weeks for Easter Sunday and pack the pews, even though that goes against what every health expert and most governors are saying they want to see happen. This is a president who, you point out, might be motivated by financial concerns about his businesses, but is also, more than anything, is concerned about his reelection. And that is informing every decision he is making, is he wants things, and that includes the economy, to, quote, go back to normal so he can get back to running the campaign he wants to run against Joe Biden, to be out there holding his rallies, to secure another 4 years in office. That is fueling everything he is doing.
There is no doubt that if a CEO put out a tweet like that this morning, they would be considered unfit to run a corporation. If a school teacher put out a tweet like that this morning, they would be considered unfit to run a classroom. In fact, if any American put out a tweet like that, with this type of crisis weighing down on them, they would be considered to be unfit And so again, I don't understand with the responsibility, Susan Del Percio, that this president has upon his shoulders with his plea, as he was reading the teleprompter, that with this pandemic, we are all in it together. With his White House acknowledging the possibility that up to 2 million people could die from the coronavirus, most of them senior citizens.
That's right.
And if he thinks this is going to distract us from the fact that he screwed up on masks, he screwed up on testing, he screwed up on ventilators, he screwed up on preparation, it's not going to distract us. It's just going to draw attention to the fact that when he does things like this, he looks unfit for the job. I'm sorry, Susan, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to respond. You said a key thing there. When he was reading from the teleprompter, that's what his people are telling him to read. And when he's on his own, this is what he thinks and how he processes things. And it's all about him and people he deems his enemies. And I'd just like to say, and I'm paraphrasing this, Mitt Romney went out on his tweet, not only saying that, I'm negative for coronavirus, but I am staying in a self-quarantine in an abundance of caution, which is exactly the responsible thing we should be talking about. That's what leadership is. And I just keep going back to it. Donald Trump is not offering this country what it needs at its being, and that's leadership.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.